Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's been barely 12 hours since we stopped recording, but in the time since we did our end of the middle of Pariah review, it has come and gone, and we are into the future. Welcome to our Balanced Dataslate review. I am Innes. I am joined by Jeremy. We're going to be talking all things Balanced Dataslate or Munitorum Field Manual update. Technically, there was not a Balanced Dataslate.
It's not a slate, but there's still changes. So
FAQs and Pariah Tournament Nexus update. We're going to be going through the general rules changes. We're going to be going through each army. We're going to be using the framework that we made yesterday on the live show. So everybody who's asking, why did you guys do that? And so that when we do this stuff, we can go, hey, here's how everything was, and here's how it's changed. So we're going to screen share up the tier list. We're going to throw up an arrow onto everything as we go through them. And we're like, this got better. This got worse. Here's why it got worse. If you want to know what you should be thinking about coming to the new meta game based on our first impressions, literally read this the same time you guys did 5 hours ago when I crawled out of bed to go and play a TTS game. So, oh my god, there's so much change. Let's start at the beginning though, Jeremy. High level, how you feeling?
I mean, my Dark Angels aren't feeling great, but other than that, I really like the changes. And even then, the Dark Angel changes were also largely needed. So I think that as a whole, it's a really good update for it just being an MFM update with some FAQs. The FAQs are quite nice because they addressed a lot of edge cases that have been coming up. They're getting to a point now with those with their FAQ updates where they get to address those like tiny edge cases because everything else is just sorted out now.
Yep, exactly. So, I think it's a very, very good place to be, and I'm quite happy with the state of the game right now.
Like we talked about before, the meta generally felt pretty good. We were talking about this last night. There is still a bit of a have-not, and we'll see if the slate addressed all of that. And they were brave enough to make changes to the missions already, so...
Yeah, which I am very, very thankful for, because my god, was I not super happy with those missions. So yeah, I'm very glad that there's some changes coming. It definitely feels like there is direction for the directionless, right? That's kind of how I would describe it.
Exactly.
And that is a very, very good place. Anything that, like, even some of the lesser armies feel like they at least got something, right? To be like, okay, there is a thing you can do now in your build. And I don't know if that's going to hold true for everything. We'll identify that as we're going through. But I'm sure there's going to be some armies that didn't change as much as we would have liked, that didn't change at all, right? All that good stuff. Some armies that just, stayed in stasis. Maybe those are going to be the armies up the top. Maybe they're going to be armies at the bottom. But ultimately, there's going to be something for everyone. Because I think every army changed. Did any armies not change, Jeremy? You have the great big spreadsheet of data.
I think everything did change. Let me scan real quick. I don't think they forgot anyone.
I wasn't sure if they didn't forget anyone, but maybe just someone didn't feel
I guess you could technically say they forgot about Imperial agents, but I won't. That's not a real army, so
yeah, they're also literally brand new, so it's impossible.
Yeah, and the only change to them, because I can address this right now, is that the criminally undercosted Subductor Squad is now 100 points if you take them as allies, but still really cheap in just the main Imperial agents army.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, every other army received some kind of point change, either a hike, a reduction, or an internal balance change where they were just kind of shuffling within the army.
Yeah.
And yes, Rob, the Custodes should have come up. Why she is still 100 points is wild.
Maybe the most confusing thing for me. That's definitely the data sheet that I'm the most like, wow, that didn't change of all times, because truly, I think 50% of Imperial lists, something like that. I would have to do the stats. I wonder if Dirt Sheets has that. Actually,
Dirt Sheets should have that, yeah. It would just be X and 1 list, but you could at least look. But that does give you a really good idea. Hey, the best list, 95% of them have a Custodes.
Because Frank will know.
Yeah. We'll pull him over and we'll talk about... Actually, that'd be a fun episode next week. Grab Frank over and look at the units that went up and how often they were showing up in X and 1.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk a bit about how we're going to be structuring this episode. So the thing that we think is going to be the easiest way to do this, I'm going to screen share a Canva document that has the previous, that has our good old tier list from last night in it, and we're going to go through each army, starting at the bottom and going up to the top, and we are going to literally just go through that army's changes, what's relevant, what we think is an interesting direction, if we think there's anything that we're not going to do a ton about like what was missed here because it's not super relevant. We've got 3 months of playing with these rules. You're going to have to live with it for a bit. We can do complaining about what's not there in a couple months' time. But it's going to be a case of what's strong here, what got weaker here, what should you be looking at if you're trying to play this army direction-wise, and what should you be worried about if you're playing in this army tournaments. We want this to be a productive and healthy and useful discussion of you. And there's going to be a bit of like, hey, this didn't get changed. That's a thing for this army, rather than, hey, this didn't get changed. Why didn't it get changed? Because that's just not helpful. But we should start with one other thing, which is let's talk about the mission changes before we get into the army stuff, because this is going to impact everybody.
I think there's 4 total.
4 total. Go for the top first, Jeremy.
So first one is Linchpin primary mission. Now is capped at 15 points per turn, so no more scoring 28 points after you table your opponent, or 23 points. I guess 28 if you played Hidden Supplies for some reason. The secret mission have been adjusted, so where you can no longer score primary turn 5 if you were doing a secret mission. So kind of nice. Third change is now you can score Storm Hostile turn 1. And that was a change that I almost missed reading through it, and the only reason I noticed it is that I went back and looked at the last Pariah Tournament Companion, and they had added the card in because in fantastic user design case, the text was inside of a red box originally, which is why so many people missed it before. So Brilliant. That was a very, very nice change. And it's the last one,
an interesting change for armies that like going. It's definitely like a bit of a boost to go second armies, right? Because Storm Hostile is generally not a thing you score turn 1. If you take your opponent's home objective on them turn 1, something's gone really wrong. But there are like a couple of like minor edge cases that are kind of worth touching on. Yeah, a lot of times you don't stand on your home objective on turn 1 if you're playing against armies with like indirect. So for example, Exorcists or Whirlwinds or Basilisks, because you don't want to give them an overwhelming force draw against your home objective unit holder, so you don't stand on your home objective on turn 1. You then walk onto it. Now, if you do that and your opponent draws Storm Hostile, they can get your opponent holds no objectives condition, which is a non-negligible thing. You're now probably better just being on it and playing around both, because it's more likely that your opponent will not kill that unit than that they will do that. You might also consider like scouts and things like that maybe want to retreat onto an objective behind a wall. They now could potentially go up Storm Hostile objective on turn 1 if you're not careful about where they fall back to, which may depend on some terrain formats. But it's also just generally a boost to players going second, because your opponent on turn 1 is going to walk into middle objectives and start starting to score primary. That is at that point the point that you can interact with it. So it's obviously secret missions coming down, becoming harder is worse for second player. This is a bit of a boost. So it's not a huge one, but it's an intro.
It also kept the... Sorry, go for it. Yeah, it's fine. It also kept the condition that if you draw it turn 1, you can just cycle it back into your deck like behind enemy lines. So it's not like a dead card. It's just now it opened up the option, and it also removed a lot of the confusion around why can I keep this card but not score it turn 1.
It is also notably not an unreasonable fixed option.
Yep.
If you are really desperate for a fixed card. So definitely a thing to keep in mind. You can play
especially on
fixed. It is
games especially on missions like Supply Drop.
Supply Drop is the big one. Yeah, I would say it's like the most. Supply Drop is definitely the most common one to see it in, right? You're just like, oh, this is completely reasonable. It does its job. It's a completely reasonable secondary. If you're playing in something that like gives up Bring It Down pretty trivially, I've definitely done it against like Tau, for example, right? You just Bring It Down plus Storm Hostile in Supply Drop. You're either gonna stand on the objectives and you bleed primary, or you're not gonna stand on an objective at all, and you're gonna bleed. You're gonna bleed. I'm gonna score all my primary. So generally, I think to keep in mind. I think overall, Fixed didn't get significantly easier in the pack, which is probably a good thing.
Didn't really yes, you now have a slightly better way of scoring Storm, but that's about it.
Yep.
And again, if you go second, the last rule change that actually matters here is they've now defined surge moves. They've added a section that basically says all of these things are surge moves, and there are 3 restrictions on them. 1, you can only do 1 per phase, per unit. 2, you can't do it if you're battle shocked. And 3, you can't do it while you're in engagement range.
Yeah, they all had the weird thing with surge moves is they all had different trigger conditions. They still do have different trigger conditions, but they all had different restrictions on battle shocked and once per turniness. Or whether there's still differences open, whether it's get shot, take damage, lose a model, etc., etc. But now they all had the same thing of you could only move into engagement range of 1 unit, but now they're a lot more restricted. They're definitely you're not going to just get run down by an Accursed squad that you just have to kill. If you stand 7 away from an Accursed squad, you can shoot it until your heart's content now.
Correct.
And that is a very, very big restriction for that data sheet. It is much harder to play. Now, and on top of like the point changes for that, I think Accursed are the ones that takes the biggest change here, but also Khorne Berserkers don't love it. Yeah, overall, big fan. I think the secret mission changes for me are the biggest part.
That's the biggest one, because that's the biggest complaint that people had about the missions more than anything else. And it's a small tweak, but it's a tweak that actually will have an impact.
Yeah, it's 100% a meaningful change, right? Not being able to just score like 35 primary on the last turn by getting your 20 plus your 15. It meant that you could only ever have to hold your home objective, and you can still score 40 points just holding your home objective. Well, you'd get 35 now, but you have to at least once hold another objective, which gives you so much, like, even just giving you that 5-point buffer. It's not a lot. It's probably not. I don't even know if it's enough, honestly. I haven't played with it yet. It's impossible to say. But just giving the 5-point buffer, if you just keep your opponent to their home objective only, they get 35 primary now. That is now a thing that you can aim for in a game against Hypercrypt or Grey Knights. And you're like, if I can get to 45 and they get 35, I will win by 10 on primary. I just need to hold even on secondaries. That is a win condition now that didn't exist before because they were just going to get 40. And you were only makes point difference, which was not enough to be comfortable with.
Sorry. It also makes missions like Scorched Earth very interesting because a lot of times you would see the 5/5/5 burn and secret. Now that doesn't work because you don't even score for the burn anymore.
Yeah, it's also way harder in like Burden of Trust because that's just a low score mission in general for anybody to score primary now.
Oh yeah, that's a fair one.
I'm gonna get 2/2/2/2/20 and I still draw. So yeah, it should be very interesting to see how this plays out. I'm really looking forward to getting this on the table. My event this weekend, Pirate, is going to be using the new update, so I am very hyped. I have been.
You have a whole extra day to write your list.
Yeah, I was sitting playing a game with a client this morning, and we started at like 11:30, and by the time that we were like halfway done with the call, he was like 20 messages deep in my Discord because people had just been messaging me like, "Hey, can we do a call this week? Hey, can we?" I'm just like, people are very clearly excited, and it's a really good sign, right? Like. One of the things that I always use personally is my metric of game health is how busy am I the week before the data slate. And if I'm not busy at all with work, it's because everybody's bored as fuck of the game. Nobody wants to play. And that happened like the one right before Eldar got nerfed. And I think the week before that, I did like 2 calls because people had an event that weekend and just wanted to work. But nobody wanted it. This week, I was busy. I'm now busier because of the slate, because everybody who was like, I'll take a week off is now like, all right, let's do it. But the game is very clearly in a great state right now because people want to play it. And, you know, for as much as we like to bitch and moan and be complainers about the general state of things, if people are excited to play 40k, then we're excited to be doing content and, you know, talking about it because it's much better for everybody. You know, Goonhammer gets to write cooler articles, Art of War gets, you know, we get more coaching clients, we get more viewers, right? All this great stuff. So I'm hyped right now. I hope everybody else is. Let's get into it with the army stuff. So I'm going to throw up this is probably going to be slightly awkward. I'm going to throw up a tab screen share to my Canva. And that should hopefully everybody can see the thing. And then I've got little icons for up, down, and neutral for each army.
Do we want to go through these alphabetically?
I was thinking we could go from bottom to top would be interesting.
So the reason that I don't want to do that is that everything else is alphabetical everywhere I have.
Yeah, but that's so boring.
Okay, you'll make me bounce around. That's fine.
Let's do alphabetical to make your life easier. Okay. I will make your life easier. We'll do alphabetical.
All right. And it's also fun because it means we get to start with sisters.
All right. Let's start with the Adeptus Sororitas. So we have Adeptus Sororitas in S tier. They were one of the best armies in the game coming out of the last pack. How have they been hurt? I would imagine
they got smacked around. So Zephyr went down 5 points, and Battle Sisters went down 10. Everything else, I mean, you weren't really seeing either of those, but everything that was being taken and being really abused in Bringers of Flame lists went up considerably. Now, I don't think they went up enough. However,
so what went up?
Yeah, Castigators went up 10, Dialogus went up 10, Dominion Squads went up 10, Immolators went up 10, Morvenfall went up 10, Paragon Warsuits went up 10, Seraphim went up 5, and the Triumph of St. Catherine went up 60 points.
Seraphim went up more at big squads, though, right? Was that not one of the changes?
Let me just double check.
Should probably actually have the balance data like open. That would be smart.
That would be handy. I have it open already, so
I'm winging it entirely. So,
Adeptus Sororitas for Seraphim. Yes, they did. Sorry, they went up. They went up 20 points, I believe.
Yeah, so they went up more at big squad.
Yeah, they went up 20 points for the big squad.
Big squads were the broken. Big squads were honestly they were the broken part in Bringers of Flame, right? That was the part that was problematic. Yeah. So having that like new technology that they're using of changing the points of small squad but not big squad, or big squad but not small squad, definitely gives them a decent amount of help. I think the thing that is, and I'm going to say missing here, the thing that did not change is exorcists. They have 100% popularity, and I think we will probably see a hell of a lot of exorcists going forwards. I think I would expect to see them in almost every list now, 2 or 3 exorcists. They're just by far the best data sheet. But I think overall, I think we can comfortably say Sisters are a loser of the pack. Yeah. They definitely got worse. It remains to be seen if it's enough. But I think the direction to look at now, there are a few things like if you take a Battle Sister squad in an Immolator, it's now the same points as the Dominion squad was before. It's obviously worse, but it is still the same idea. You can run Exorcist, which did not change. Castigators went up a bit. It kind of feels like if you cut the Triumph, your list basically stays the same, and you get an extra little bit of stuff. But I would expect to see Exorcists basically everywhere, and Sisters are probably the Exorcist army now.
Yeah, like if you take Typhus's list and cut the Triumph, you can fit, I think, 2 more units of scoring in.
Yeah, and I know Typhus is going to Pyre this weekend, so if you want to see what Typhus's immediate thoughts are, go and check out the Pyre list on Turn to Keeper once this weekend is over, and you'll be able to see what his overall total thoughts were.
Yeah, Paint Celestine does raise a good point in chat about expensive Sisters melee options didn't really get cuts. I think they're very concerned about doing what they did with Eldar in the past, or what they've done with Drukhari, where they hit an army that's overperforming and try to get things a little bit better and go, and then regret it because Thick City happens. I think the thing that also amused me a lot is that every single enhancement in Bringers of Flame went up.
Yeah, that's quite funny. I think there's a very real thing that's worth noting here as well. If you, all of the other armies have won GTs, like Penitent and Host and Army of Faith, or top 4 super majors, right? Penitent Host, Army of Flame, and Hallowed Martyrs are all good detachments. They're just not as good as Bringers of Flame before the changes. And I don't think, Will Whitaker went 5-0 with Penitent Host at LGT, and Grisha played it for Team Germany at WTC. Penitent Host is already just fine. Everything else just got hit. Relative to the game, Penitent Host is probably better than it was, or at least not worse. So,
I will add there was there were 2 other changes. One was a mechanical change. Now, if you split a unit using the Immolator, you have to choose which half of the unit gets the Cherub. They're treating it like a War Gear option now.
Thank goodness.
It was a unit ability before, so...
I know, but it was still weird because the Cherub was a model that you put with the squad.
I agree. I 100% agree that it was an odd thing. It was just it was nice to see that change because it made more sense. The other thing, and this is something that was more interesting to me, is that they very much doubled down on the Penitent Host having to choose
which I think is funny.
A vow every turn for the first 3 turns.
They're really angry. Why would they wait to be angry?
Not only that, but it's now they even explicitly said, you get nothing in 4 and 5.
Good shit. That's what I like to hear. All right, who's next up?
We got Custodes. I want to say they're basically unchanged, but they're not. All 3 variants of Contemptors went down 10 points, Trajan went down 10 points, and Virtus Praetors went down 10 points for 2.
I don't think there's
nothing that they're playing right now went down. I think that the Contemptors there might be a Dreadnought build in there.
I immediately want to put 9 Dreadnoughts on the table because it just seems interesting.
It's a fun list. It's not a good list.
I belie that. They get the Shield Host benefits. They get Qatar, right?
Yes.
That's a lot of crits.
But the melee's not that good.
I want to see it. I think anything Custodes data sheets aren't that good in melee on their face. They're just 722. But the crits,
but it's volume that they have with the crits.
Sure, but you get better damage. I want to try it. I immediately went. I want to put this on the table, and I am tempted to. I think you could win a GT with that.
All right, but I think we can mark them as neutral.
I think that is probably fair. I think it is a disheartening neutral for the Custodes.
Ow, I forgot that they're down in trash.
Yes, that is absolutely.
And Custodes got no mechanical changes.
Yes.
Those are actually fairly rare this update. They're much... 6 Dreads plus Canis. Oh, God, Quintero, that makes me mad, but also... I do have that.
It's a reactive move in Shield Host and in Talons.
In Talons, right? Yeah.
Double move.
Because it's not infantry locked. Oh no.
Double move. I think that'd be interesting.
Telemon doesn't exist, Quintero.
Look, I think we took Custodes to WTC and we were very happy with them. I think Custodes are just fine. They have a little bit of struggle in singles, but ultimately, if everything else is coming down around them, I think Custodes benefit from a less lethal meta.
They did not like playing into Sisters.
Custodes benefit from a less lethal metagame in a way that very few other armies do, because they are just, their durability is exponential the less damage you do, which does give them, there is a window back into the game for Custodes here, I think. I think this is the kind of metagame that they could exist in.
Yep, makes sense.
Potentially.
I'm getting yelled at because the Telemon changed. I don't care about the Telemon.
The Telemon gets more attacks with its fists now, right? I think that's what
Something
changed.
Like that. It's still not good.
Yeah. I want to believe.
Make it
I
T12.
want to believe in Custodes.
Make it T12. Just, come on.
Oh god, when we get to Tyranids, I'll complain about the Norn not getting T12. All right, let's go on before I
let's go to AdMech.
The gun. All right, Adaptus Mechanicus, we have them in A tier. We had them as being completely reasonable, doing pretty well.
I think that they stay there. So they were one of the armies that got internal balance changes. So Corpuscari and Fulgrade Electric Priest went down 5 each, which I think might be a mistake, because that datasheet is hilarious now. Ballistari went up 5. Dune Crawlers went down 5. Both flavors of Taraxi went up 5 for 5. Cerberus Sulfur Hounds went down 5 and are now 3 for 55 points, which is interesting. Skitarii Vanguard went up 5, so they're 95 now, but Rangers still unchanged at 85. The Scatros is now 50 points.
That is pretty cheap for a load up.
And that's the point where I actually look at him and go, I guess I should paint this guy. And then the Tech Priest Dominus, Engine Seer, and Manipulus all went down 5 points each, which are nice. I would say about neutral, probably, maybe a slight win for them.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with
the 60 bird list suffers from this, but the 60 bird list was pain and suffering to play.
I'm happy with neutral. I think neutral seems reasonable here.
Yeah.
They didn't really
expect that they will continue performing quite well, but also remain fair to play against.
Yeah, I think I would probably need to sit and have a look at oh Jesus Christ, why can't I know this up? There we go. Sit and have a look at Johnny Simmons' AdMech list from WTC and be like, all right, how did that pan out?
And yes, Darkja, it is a crime that Castellan Robots didn't get at least a little cut.
Look, it's probably for the best. I think AdMech were good and did not need changes. They are just underplayed.
I also think that Castellans are probably in a just fine state.
I've seen Castellans do reasonably well at a couple of events recently, in casualer hands, but just going 3-2, going 4-1, and being fine.
Yeah, I'm probably going to crack mine out and put them on the table for a practice game on Thursday because it seems interesting.
The main issue with them is that they're only really good in Cohort Cybernetica, right? Which is just not that great a detachment.
I don't know. Cohort Cybernetica is actually a really good detachment if you go mech heavy.
Sure.
Because the detachment rule does fuck all, but the strats are really good as well. Really nice. They even clarified in there that they get to is that you can make a vehicle ballistic skill 2 with the enhancement and Doctrina stack. Is it good? I don't know. Is it fun? Yes.
Yeah, I do like the Scorpius Disintegrators with the indirect as well. It's not a bad gun.
Yeah, I mean, even the Faramite's a really good gun, the direct fire one.
I have this thing with AdMech. I built my AdMech in 7th edition, so every time I look at any Age of Thinking Master 8, I'm like, that's too new, I don't own it. And then they came out with the boats onwards, I just don't have. So it's just
I like the boats.
So it's so hard to justify updating that army for me.
Yeah, for me, it's been the chickens. Or the flying chickens, because I have 20 of them to go to 35 or 40. So now
yes, Jeff is living my life.
11 Custodes dreads fit in the list. What? Oh yeah, 2 Telemons, I guess, and nine.
Jeff, see me after class.
I'm now very sad that I do own 2 Telemons, don't I? Oh no. All right. Anyways, let's talk about Eldari.
All right.
Eldar are currently sitting in F tier.
Yep, doing not great, my dudes.
All right, so Corsair Void Reavers and Corsair Void Scarred both went down 10 points for 5. I think that's
really... The regular ones notably are a scout datasheet that is battling, which is not a bad place to be right now.
Yeah, I think that they're really interesting in Ynnari, aren't they?
I think you're thinking of the proper squad is like an interesting option for Ukraine, but I think it's still worse than the troops.
That's the one I'm thinking
like
of.
The 60-point ones are just kind of whatever.
Yeah, okay. Falcons went down 10. Fire Prisms went down 10. Shining Spears went down 10. The Warlock Conclave went down 5. The Warlock Skyrunner Conclave went down 10. Wave Serpents went down 10. Wraith Blades went down 10 for 5. Wraith Guard went down 10 for 5. And Wraith Knights went down 15 points. You can now reserve a Wraith Knight because it's $4.95.
Again, yeah. I think Fire Prisms, unironically, are amazing right now, and you should probably be running 2 of them in most Eldar lists, and maybe 3. That datasheet is really, really good. The metagame is not equipped to deal with that level of firepower that is as movable as it is, and they answer tanks super well. They just
Fire Prism poking out, using linked fire to delete 1 or 2 tanks, and then fire and fading back behind that wall is infuriating to deal with.
It is very, very hard to deal with if you are not able to pressure them properly. I played against Shuckman, who was playing them at Champs Cup, and he had double Avatar protecting them, all that kind of stuff, and just 10 points off the top. That's a full unit in Eldar, my dude.
It was already a good list, like a good unit to be taking. So
yeah, I have Eldar as our first winner of the Dataslate for me.
Yes, I would agree 100%.
I don't think it's big. I don't think they're jumping to the best army.
Given that they were in a struggling position, I think that they will move up.
Yep. I have certainly played against Eldar players recently who have been doing well despite the situation, and the army is better in a different direction than it was before. I also think 5-man Wraithblade squads are not the least interesting thing in the world. It's kind of sad how much they need a Spirit Seer to really do damage.
Yes.
But yeah. And I don't hate the Wraith Lord either. I think it's an alright data sheet. It's really fun. You can Phantasm it when you attach Spirit Seer to it, because it becomes infantry.
No, stop that. Yeah, you get to go an extra inch because you're always going to roll a 1 on Phantasm.
I've never seen an Eldar player roll anything less than a 6.
I've always rolled 1s when I played them. I guess it's because I'm not an Eldar player.
Exactly.
All right. The Astra Militarum, the Imperial Guard.
Sitting up here in A tier.
Okay, so this update makes me mad. Bograns went up 20 points for 3.
Which is a big change.
That is a big change. If you were running 18 Bulgrin, your list went up 180 points?
They are more expensive point per point
120.
More model than Grey Knight Terminators. So,
yes, they are. Yeah, but they move twice as fast.
They move twice as fast, and they somehow hit harder.
Field Ordnance Batteries went down 10 for 2. Is that finally approaching a spot where I'd run them? Probably not. The Heavy Weapon Squad also went down 10 for a set of 3. Ogrins went down 5 points, so they're now 20 points a model.
Still not enough. They just don't do enough.
I don't know. I kind of love the idea of putting 12 Ogrin inside of a Crassus and just going beep, 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 beep. All right, moving along. Scout Sentinels went down 5. That was not necessary. And the Tank Commander got both buffed and nerfed, because the Tank Commander gained the Squadron keyword, which means, 1, he can order himself. 2, he now gets lethals. But he also went up 20 points.
Monsters, but...
but that's what he's shooting at most of the time anyway.
I think you see 2 or 3 Tank Commanders in every guard list now.
Yeah. And of course, the most important thing that everyone was wondering about, yes, for some reason, Tempestus Aquilons are still only 90 points for 10. Yeah.
I think net, these lists probably go down to... You probably see somewhere in the region of 12 Bulgrin, maybe 15. You maybe sub out 1 squad of them for Grey Knight Terminators instead to have something with a bit more durability, because that could be interesting from Imperial agents. And then you're just playing Tank Commanders instead of Russes or Dorns or whatever. Also notably, Tank Commanders gaining Squadron keyword means they benefit from Fields of Fire now, where they did not before. So you can stack the plus AP on them as well, where you could not before, which is, again, pretty relevant change for that army. Once you're stacking AP with the Exterminator, removing cover with the Hellhound, and then sticking Fields of Fire on top, suddenly they're AP5, ignore cover. That's a big number.
They also, I'll make a note here just because this is the easiest place to put it. They made a clarification on Fire on Death abilities. They've added FAQs to the ones that have them that just basically mean it has to be an actual attack that kills them.
Or specifically for the Tank Commander, hazardous from its own sponsons.
Which also, Hellblasters already had that, so...
Yes. It's technically an attack, it's just not being your own attack.
It's your own attack triggering it.
So, whatever. I personally think Guard are a big winner, both in terms of the net changes being good for them, but also just the metagame falling around them. And I think Guard probably, I think on balance, they stay neutral because there are buffs and nerfs here, but with everything above them going down, I think they're probably the best army in the game right now.
Yeah, I think you could probably mark them as a net buff.
I think it's tough to say that it's like actually a buff because they are going to lose some stuff, right? They're going to lose Bulgrin in the same number, and tank commanders are more expensive now.
Maybe. All right, let's mark them neutral.
I want to say they got buffed because it makes me feel better about being like, I'm going to lose every game I play.
Let's make guard players angry when we say that they. But actually, no, make everyone who isn't a guard player angry when we say that they're unchanged.
I'm also approaching this perspective that like Aquilons already existed, and them not changing is not a buff, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's technically a true statement,
Fence-sitting cowards. Damn it, Rob.
Okay, that is a good point. It'll be better if I put it on again, doing it for the Reddit post, right?
Oh, not the red.
No.
Okay.
It'll make Noth upset if I say that he's just a bandwagon and guard player.
I mean, he is a bandwagon and guard player.
That's true. He
doesn't even own any Aquilons. Like, what's he doing?
He pre-bandwagon. That's even worse. He's been playing them in expectation of a buff, so that they'd be good for when he came around. Pre-bandwagoning is just as bad as bandwagoning. I'll say they got buffed.
To respond to Rob Jones' chat, yes, we know that Scott Horace was very wrong in his assessment, but it makes for a great clickbait article.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's talk Black Templars.
What they called me in that article, but let's not worry about it. Okay, we're gonna do all those Space Marines at once, as we did with the Dataslate, but as we did with the actual end of. So let's talk about Templars.
Yeah, so Black Templars. I'm just gonna say they lost. The Castellan went down 5 points. Cool. Chaplain Grimaldus went up 10. Helbrecht went up 10. And they started using more of the differential pointing, where big squads go big in terms of points. So the regular Crusaders are unchanged unless you take them in a 20-man, in which case they went up 20 points. Primaris Crusaders, however, got done dirty, and they went up 10 points for a 10-man and 40 points for a 20-man. So they're now 320 points for 20 Crusaders.
That is a lot. I think that is probably too much. That army was already like hard to play and honestly only kind of okay and slow. And I think that overall that's going to
very easy to misplay or misposition and just die.
Yeah. I think it's going to net out to being not great. Yeah. It's going to net out to being pretty bad for Templars. I think Ironstorm sees like no changes as like the other relevant build, and there were no real changes in here for the Gladius build. I think overall Black Templars got nerfed.
The Gladius build did get worse because Helbrecht went up, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's also true. But I'm not going to call it 10-point nerf on one character or nerf to a build. Right?
And it's not like they were that tight on points in that build anyways. All right, do we want to talk Blood Angels now then?
Yeah, let's do Blood Angels.
All right, so we'll go through the rest of the Marines. Blood Angels is the next in my sheet, but also...
in this set are the previous codex playing Sons of Sanguinius mostly, and will not be the same.
Correct.
Where do we think Blood Angels land?
All right, so let's go through the points real quick. So Astrath is 105, which is the same as the Codex. The Ball Predator is 135, which is 10 up from both the Codex and the Index. The new Blood Angels Captain is up 5 from the Codex. The Mephiston is 125 points, which is a war crime. Dante is 130. The Death Company Captain, both with and without the jump pack, is 15 points cheaper than he would have been otherwise. So he is 70 points on foot and 85 points with a jump pack, which feels pretty good. I don't know if he's nearly as good, but the Death Company Dreadnought, which is just basically a Brutalis rebranded with some special rules, is 180 points. So down 40 from the Codex, but I think that's in line with where the Brutalis is right now.
Yeah, and the Brutalis is just not... The Brutalis has great rules, but it's badly pointed, unfortunately. I just don't think that guy is going to hit the line.
The Death Company Marines on foot and with bolt rifles are now 90 points for 5, which is fine, I guess?
So expensive.
Yeah. It is funny that the Death Company Marines with bolt rifles went up 15 points from the Index to the Codex.
And they're just worse than Assault Intercessor, or like regular Intercessors who have sticky objective.
Yes, they are. Who are 10 points cheaper. But they get Battle Line if you run the Death Company detachment.
They sure do.
I was trying to figure out why they made them the same cost, and I was like, oh, that's really what they're thinking. Death Company Marines with jump packs are 130 for 5 or 240 for 10. which is, I don't know. I don't think that's great given their change to their loadouts.
Yeah, they did get confirmed that you can run the two power fists in a 5-man. So I think 5-mans are kind of interesting, just as like hittier versions of JPIs.
Yeah, and 5-mans are only 10 points cheaper than they were before, but they're still 40 points more than a JPI.
You so significantly need chaplain support for them as well to make sure they have OC that I just don't think you'll get away with it.
Yeah. And then Lamarty's went up 10 from the Codex, but down 10 from the Index, so split the difference, I guess. So he's 110 now. Sanguinary Guard, it's basically a new data sheet, but they're now 3 for 135. So they're down 5 points per model from the Index, which had them at 150 for 3. Sanguinary Priest, which is just the foot variant now, is 90 points, and the Sanguinorist remains, remarkably consistent at 140 points. Where do we think this lands them? I think
they're probably... Fine. I think they're
maybe down a little bit from where they are right now.
I'd say they're down, but effectively a new army, which is difficult to I'm going to see if I can find a new symbol, because I would like to just be this is kind of not the same army, right? It's hard to just be this is the same army, because it just isn't. So I think it's just I'm going to put an overlay on them that's this is a new army. It's not the same as it was, but it's probably worse than it used to be. I think that's probably fair, right?
Yeah, I think that's perfectly reasonable.
I don't think it's fair to say that they are just the same army changed, because they're not. They're straight up a new army.
If you wanted to show up on the white background, make it red.
Yeah, I tried giving it an outline, but it didn't work.
Anyways, we'll futz around with this later.
We're going to keep fixing colors until something is readable. How's orange? Orange works.
Yeah, it seems decent.
I put a box around the box. That's not what I wanted. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. All right. Well, while you're listening with that, let's talk about core Space Marines now, since they're the next in the Marine line.
Yeah, go for it.
So the Apothecary Biologus went up 15 points and is now 70. The Assault Intercessors with Jump Packs went up 10 for 5. They're now 90. And I think the same thing happened to their biggest squad. I wasn't paying too much attention because I don't run big JPI units. Assault Intercessors with Jump Packs. No, they are still 160 for 10. So that's interesting for Blood Angels. And I'm going to add that to my sheet. Shells, check down.
Bright green's a good chat, Rob. That works quite well.
All right. The Ballistus Dreadnought went down 10 points and is now 130, which is... That data sheet looks... I have 3 on my paint desk right now, and I go... and I assembled them a year ago. Now I'm looking at them and going, this could be fun.
Did you assemble them right after I played the LGT Invitational with them? Because that was the game I played against Myson on stream.
I don't remember, to be honest.
God, that game was so fun.
I mean, I already had two from the Leviathan box, anyways. So
I think Ballistic Dreadnoughts are genuinely one of the better data sheets in CSM, and going down 10 points is great.
In CSM, eh?
Sorry, in Codex Space Marines is CSM. Yes.
All right, the Captain Phobos Summer went down 10 points. I don't care. Eradicators went up 5 points if you're running 3, 10 points if you're running 6. Hurts, but also isn't particularly surprising. That unit combined with the Biologus and Fire Discipline kills God, or sometimes kills nothing.
Yeah, it's just an unfair unit. It shouldn't really be able to do what it does.
Yeah.
So.
I'll add now, because this is the unit that's most often taken with, Fire Discipline also went up 10 points.
Making it now a 40-point enhancement and the most expensive in the game, tied with a bunch of other 40-point enhancements.
Tied with a bunch of Chaos Knight and Imperial Knight ones.
Yeah, that's how good it is. It's as good as buffing an Imperial Knight, that thing is.
Yep. So that net package went up 10, 25, 35 points, which is probably still too cheap.
It's still good. I don't think I would run it personally anymore. Yeah. I would rather play other things.
Heavy Intercessors now 95 points for 5.
Getting there, but still... 19 points for Heavy Intercessor is not terrible. The problem with Heavy Intercessor, they don't get the Sergeant War gear. The other Space Marine
they just have guns,
which means they're not very good at punching themselves out of combat when they get bogged in. So they're not great at defend. They're not very good at point defense. They're just durable. I quite like them in detachments like Righteous Crusaders, where you can give them a 6 of Feel No Pain. They have their +1 save against AP0, which means damage 1, which means that they have a 2-up save and cover against AP1 and AP0 weapons, which is like a pretty relevant defensive
And
buff.
T6.
Once you stack a Feel No Pain on top of them, and maybe Champions of Rust could do the same thing, right? Like, they're pretty durable.
Yeah.
It's just you need to be playing a detachment that values durable infantry that stands in place, and that's kind of hard to justify for me.
Agreed. The Invader ATV went down 10 points and is now 60 points for...
It is a data sheet at 60 points. I like the Invader ATV now. It feels a lot like a land speeder from last edition with less maneuverability. They're cheap.
It still moves 12.
That durable. I mean, they don't fly and move 16, right? It's not the same, but they also have like the random shoot back rule. Like, I kind of like them. I like the idea of them in like Ironstorm, for example.
Yeah.
Just give that multi-melta an additional reroll. They've got that fire back if you try to get too close to them. They're OC2, so they're not going to like random lose. They can take an objective off a lone operative. I quite like them.
Yep. Then the Invictor
points, they're very interesting.
Yes. Then the Invictor Tactical Warsuit went down 15 points and is now 125.
God, I wish it did anything. The first time one fired at me, I genuinely asked my opponent if he was reading his gun wrong because he told me it was damage 1. I'm like, you're telling me the flamer on that thing, the primary weapon on a 140 point monster is...
Yeah, the autocannon's damage too. That's why you take the autocannon, not the flamer.
Yeah, but like, come on, man. There's guard infantry with better flamers than that.
Yeah. Reavers went down 10 points and are now 75 for 5. Moving along. Gilliman went down 65 points and is now 285 points.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about Gulliman. Like, he doesn't do very much for his points. He doesn't hit very hard. He's not that durable. He comes back, which is cool, but he has 285 points. I find it very hard to justify still.
Yeah.
The double oath is good, don't get me wrong, but it's not as good as it used to be because you don't get the full wound drills anymore, which is where it was pretty compelling. I assume his free strat doesn't works the way that it should now, right? Where it's just once per...
It's once per turn.
It's once per turn, right?
So he keeps it once per turn, just like the Hive Tyrant, which means that you can actually use him and a captain on the same thing because they are two separate abilities.
So, like, I think Gulliman is kind of compelling. There are some other changes for Ultramarines that make them more interesting with Uriel specifically, but I don't think I want Gulliman.
Probably not, but he's now a very interesting unit to look at as opposed to
the point where, like, if you put him on the table against me, I would go, huh, neat, and then play a normal game with you, rather than being like, oh man, you're running Gulliman, great, I win, right? But I'm not running out to put him on the table. I could also fully see myself being wrong with that, where maybe just the force multiplier is enough, especially now that Uriel, so one of the other changes to Ultramarines is the Uriel Ventress, his non-existent old rule has been replaced with a equivalent version of the Vect Aura, so he has the 12-inch +1 CP, which you can now have 3 sources of in Vanguard Space Marines, by the way, with the Kaladin Assassin and Shadow War Veteran enhancement, which is very funny. They don't stack.
At least they don't stack.
Yeah, they do still with Cypher and Kairos, by the way.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
Cypher's specifically says that it doesn't stack with other abilities.
Did they update it to say that now? Christ. That worked. That joke was funny yesterday then. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think I would be inclined to say if someone put Gulliman on the table to test him, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think it is still better to just, like, Marines data sheets that would want buffed from Gulliman are already just good at doing both things. Like Lancers, Reapers, etc. don't need. You would be better just running 2 more of them than running Gulliman, I think, personally.
Yeah, I agree. All right. All of the Storm Speeders went down. The Hail Strike went down 15, so it's 115 points for basically an anti-infantry gun platform. The Hammer Strike went down 25 and is now 125 points for Melta's Yes. And then the Thunderstrike went down 10 to 150 to the I want to kill monsters and vehicles real good.
I like the Hammer Strike a decent amount, but I do dislike the fact that it's stuck at strength 9 on all of its guns.
Yeah.
And I love the Thunderstrike.
Oh, the Thunderstrike going down 10 just almost puts it back into most of my lists.
Yeah, the Thunderstrike, I was already playing it in a lot of Ironstorm builds, being very happy with it. It's a compelling data sheet. The +1 to wound stacking is nice. It helps things like Gladiator Reapers just punch up, make sure that you're always solving problems. I'm very, very happy to be putting that data sheet in lists. Yeah, I think Firestorm is very interesting for it as well because it has nice breakpoints at 9 and 12 are good strength thresholds to get +1 strength on. Yep. And again, adding +1 to wound to that detachment is a very nice help. So I'm inclined to say Thunderstrike, consider it strongly in any shooting Marines build. It's the kind of thing I would like.
Suppressors went down 10 for 3. They're 75 points now.
I can see them in Angel Strike Force, not many other places.
Even then, I think it's better.
In Angel Strike Force, it's like they're the cheapest infantry unit that you could teleport.
That's fair. Now that JPIs are 5 points or 15 points more
15
than
points
that.
more expensive. Yeah. So it's like if you were doing like, you know, you do your 2 Inceptor bricks, you do 2 suppressor squads, you do 2 of those. It gives you cheap throwaway units that you can just fling on
They're your
objectives.
destroyers and hypercruisers.
Yeah, exactly. Right. They don't have to be crazy. They have a reasonably relevant gun. It's not insane, but it's a thing you can use Oath on, 3-inch deep strike. Like, I think it's interesting.
All right. Both Terminator squads went down 5 points for 5. So Terminator assault squads are now 180 for 5, or 36 points a model, and regular Terminators are 170 points for 5.
I want to like the Assault Terminator squad, like with with Tannhauser's Bones and Righteous Crusader or some of that. It's always like close to compelling. It just doesn't do enough damage for me.
Yep.
Like, it's durable. It just hits like a wet noodle because it's
Power fists that hit on 3s?
It's 30 attacks on 4s at 822. No, the Assault Terminators is Thunderhammers, right? So
yeah.
they hit on 4s.
Yeah, they should hit on 3s.
They don't have the +1 to hit against the Oath target, which the regular Terminators have. You have to take a battleship test or you get charged by them.
Cool.
So it's just bad data sheet roll. 4 wounds is good, but the Thunderhammer just doesn't hit hard enough. Like this squad hits like a 5-man Custodian squad for 360 points.
Vanguard veterans with jump packs went up 5, which is 100% paying for the sins of Sons of Sanguinius that they now can't use.
They removed the character with the jump pack. Are they really worried about Firestorm Firestorm melted?
And by the way, it wasn't just the 5-man. They increased the 10-man 10 points as well. So it wasn't like they were thinking of, maybe someone will use this as an MSU squad. No, they're just...
No, they're like, JPIs went up, so these need to go up as well.
Clearly. We'll do Space Wolves, and then we'll talk Dark Angels, because I did skip over them, because I'm sad.
Okay. So I think overall, Core Marines, good buffs, data sheets got better, JPIs got better.
I don't think they can get lower than they are right now.
Yeah. I think there is a very compelling reason to play Ultramarines Vanguard again. The Euro Ventress changing is amazing for that army.
Yeah.
Just that alone, having just a second Vectora in that army, it's already a very strong counter melee. I think that's very interesting. And then there are some really interesting directions. I am excited to try some Ironstorm and Firestorm builds for some just like, I'm going to shoot you off the table. And I'm sure Kevin Zollinger is salivating at 130 Ballista Dreadnoughts, because I am too. So, love a Ballista Dreadnought.
Yeah, I would say definitely buffs. Like, yes, one package got nerfed, and then they're criminally undercosted units.
GP is a joke saying that you're sad about that. They're so good.
Oh yeah, they're still good. I'm more talking about the Eradicator package.
Oh yeah, the Eradicators definitely did get nerfed, but they were only really good in Gladius, unfortunately.
Correct, because
I would rather they hadn't. Like, I think one of the things that's worth talking about here, I think it would have been more interesting if they had nerfed the 5-man, the 6-man, but not the 3-man, and had left the 3-man as it was. But
I think you could have actually reduced the 3-man, because you don't see the 3-man almost ever.
I think you could, but I think it starts getting dangerous, right? Like, one of the things that Marines don't have is efficient small shooting units. And giving them one is starting to hit the point where it's like, are Marines too good at too many things, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, Marines are good at having big things that use Oath, and the Eradicators don't use Oath and are small, right? That's the sort of thing that if they just walked out of the board edge in Firestorm with +1 strength, right? If you can run 3 squads of them for 270 points, I think you just do, right? In Firestorm, Ironstorm, etc. Right? That starts getting too cheap.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, Space Wolves. Bjorn the Fell-Handed went up 10 points. The Hounds of Morkai, which are just their Reavers with a special anti-psyker roll, went down 10 points. Logan Grimnar went up 15 points to 115, but notably, his sled stayed the same.
Woo, sled boy.
Longfangs went down 30 points, I think. There's no way that's right. Longfangs. No, yeah, they went down 30 points. They're now 120 for 5 models and 145 for 6.
I think that's the same as they are as Devastators, which are also terrible, so...
Yeah, Longfangs being able to take the 5th special weapon is kind of... Or 5th heavy weapon is kind of neat.
Yeah, but you still have to pay 25 points for that.
Yeah, but like it's now appropriately costed, where before I think it was 150 and 170.
Yeah, it still kind of sucks. I don't think they're that great.
Thunderwolf Cavalry went up 20 points for 3, so if you were running 18, your list went up 120 points, same as Bulgrin.
Yeah.
Wolf Guard, which are...
They went up 30, right? They were 90 before?
No, they were 100 before.
Were they? I could have sworn
I'm pretty sure they went 90 to 100. I don't have an old version to look at right now. I have it saved somewhere. But I'm pretty sure they went from 100 to 120. Yeah, because they went 90 to 100 a little while back, and it did nothing.
Did they? That's fair. Maybe I've just not looked at them since then.
Wolfguard went down 10, which are just their version of Vanguards,
you're right.
Or Sternguard or whatever. Wolves, net loser.
I think net loser. Like, they're still the same build. You play the same thing with less stuff. You're gonna cut like a Wolfen squad, or you're gonna cut like 2 of your JPI squads and leave it as it is, right? And it's fine. It's the same list. It's slightly worse at doing what it did, but it's still good. It actually benefits quite a lot from secret missions getting worse, because it's a list that was definitely punished by secret missions, because you would jam at people and then people would secret mission out of it, and it would be like, oh, okay, well, that fucking sucks. But now, I think overall, it's like not a huge nerf, but definitely Wolf Jail is a hard list to play now.
Yep. All right. Dark Angels, I skipped over them earlier because I was sad. Azrael went up 10 points to 115.
Very deserved.
Very deserved. Probably still a great data sheet. Deathwing Knights actually went up less than I was expecting. They went up 15 points to 250 for 5, which is probably a perfectly fair spot to be where they're at with the current data sheet. Landspeeder Vengeances went down 20 points, still trash. The Lion went down 15, so he continues his slow march towards being sub 250 at some point. He's now the same price as Killer Knight.
The Dataslate bingo I did at the end of this and be like, how many were we right on? I think that'll be a fun thing to do as well.
Oh, that'll be a very silly thing to go through. Ravenwing Command Squads went down 10 points for the 3-man, and then Samael went down 15 points to 115.
Samael doesn't do anything, right?
He forces Desperate Escape if you fall back from his unit.
So no. Cool.
Yeah. And I think his unit can fall back and shoot.
That sounds right. I think he can fall back, shoot, and charge, or
maybe it's both. But... Let me check real quick. I haven't played Samael since like the beginning of 10th, where I was curious about him. Samael.
Yeah, it's advanced shoot and charge.
Oh, it's advanced shoot and charge, not even fallback.
Yep.
Lame.
Maybe the Ravenwing. Like, I know people have been speaking a bit about like the Ravenwing Command Squad in
Stormlands,
Company of Heroes and Stormlands and things like that, where like it's kind of interesting, and it's not the worst thing in Gladius to be like, okay, I'm going to stick fire discipline on this, and then like shoot it, and like it's kind of interesting, but it's just kind of bad Hellblasters, and I don't think Hellblasters are very good personally, so I don't think I'm overall a huge fan. I think Dark Angels overall cupped a nerf. One thing that is kind of compelling, the Lion is only 35 points more than a squad of Deathwing Knights now, and you could maybe justify being like 2 Deathwing Knights and the Lion, or even
fight first.
Inner Circle companions out, Lion 3 Deathwing Knight squads, maybe. Like the
I don't think you leave the inner circles out. That unit blends almost anything it touches.
Sure. Maybe you do all 5 and you just play no melee, right? You just cut the Eradicator break.
And then you just play Stormlands?
No, why would you do that? You still play Gladius, right?
Why would you play Gladius?
You need the AP. Stormlands doesn't have an AP buff.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Lion is a compelling data sheet to start having a look at. I don't know if I love him. He's probably like, I actually kind of like the idea of just Lion Storm, Azrael in the middle of your 3 Vindicators, 3 Reapers, and 2 Lancers. It's just like your counter punch. Give them all a 4 field against Dev Wound so you don't get scammed out by certain things. You'd be.
And then he just gives you a beat stick.
Yeah,
he just really digs your vehicles out from behind with his sword.
Exactly. You've got a guy giving you you just have your tech read pointing and going, that one advance and shoots, my lord, and fall back and shoots. Go and charge the thing that they got charged.
This is a very silly idea, but I'm actually kind of liking it.
And the Lion just runs in and goes, but whack, whack, whack! I killed 2 of you. Oh, I died.
Lion sits behind a wall with his 12-inch aura of do a strat, or if there's no dev in their army, do a strat, take a battle shock, fail, give me a CP, thank you.
Give me a strat. Also, you don't get to use your stratagem. Somebody who's probably going to tank shock you to death just doesn't. Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, I think overall, small loser for Dark Angels.
Yeah,
not huge, but net they're going back.
Yeah, they're definitely losers. I don't disagree with that, especially when you take them in context of.
We always knew Dark Angels were losers, but
hey, be nice to my boys. They did nothing to you. All right, demons. Next.
Demons.
Beasts of Nurgle went down 5 points.
No changes, right?
The Renmaster went up 15, and Shalaxi went down 25.
Shalaxi going down 25 is actually kind of cool. I like Shalaxi.
Yeah, but this is definitely a neutral one.
Yeah.
The Shalaxi was occasionally being seen.
Shalaxi
you probably see her a little bit more, but she still costs you an arm, leg, and half your firstborn child.
Yep. She is maybe hitting the point where you could justify her on the 6 demons list now. Beast of Nurgle coming down is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah. Rob's saying that the secret mission changes hurt demons bad. I don't think it hurts them that badly.
It makes it much harder for them to command insertion.
Yeah.
And also, they were pretty good at 3 Steve striking like a plate bearer squad or something into your deployment zone for War of Attrition. But demons aren't also just like that bad at scoring primary on the front end.
Yeah.
I feel like so. Yeah, Rendmaster's going at 15 is fine.
Willow Weeks, the Josh lost to Rendmaster's tax.
I don't know if Josh ever lost to Rendmasters. That doesn't sound like it.
Or was it more that he saw Manny playing them and said no?
Well, that's all. To be fair, the Manny metric is always a good thing to choose. If Manny is playing it, it probably does deserve to be nerfed.
All right, let's talk about one of the big winners of the slate, Chaos Knights.
Sure.
The Knight Abominant went down 20 points, so it is now 365 points for a big knight.
Is it still AP 0?
It's still AP 0.
Great, cool. Thanks for.
The Knight Desecrator went down 15 points and is now 410. The Knight Despoiler also went down 15 points and is 415. You can now fit 5 bigs and a bunch of demon allies in a list. I don't think. Look, Rob, you're getting mad at me at big winners, but the reality is there are no massive winners in this event.
When you say a bunch of demon allies, if you play 3 Abominants at 385, and the next cheapest big knight is how much, Jeremy?
Rampagers at 380.
Okay, so you get 20, 20, 15, 15, 15. You get 75 points of demon allies if you play the cheapest variant of the list.
I think it's more
80
than that.
Points.
No, it's more than that.
No, it's not.
145.
If you have 3 big knights at 385.
365.
So 365. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 105, and then another. Yeah,
it's 145. I'm not saying it's a lot. It's basically, I think it's 2 units of Nurglings and a beast.
Yeah, dude, I'm not. I'm not worried about playing that.
It's 5 big knights that can't really kill anything until they reach you.
I think the Knight Abominant might be worse than the regular Abominant in GSC. No. It might be a worse data sheet on balance.
Point for point, yeah. If you could take 365 points of Abominants versus 365 points of Knight Abominants.
Straight down, a Knight Abominant in shooting does less damage than an Abominant in melee.
Yeah.
So.
I could roll a bunch of 6s.
No. Stop it. Get some help.
But yeah, Rob does highlight that so the Brigand, the Huntsman, and the Stalker all went down 5 points. Those are the actual buffs to them, because you can now run 13 dogs again with 6 Carnivores, 6 Brigands, and a Stalker. With Aura of Terror.
Where's as allies?
And then as allies, they got real good. Great for Death Guard, because that triple Brigand list just gained 15 points without losing anything. I just love the as allies. All right, Wally's doing that. Yeah, so I would say neutral overall, but definitely winners as allies.
I'm gonna say they're winners. Like the Rampager getting cheaper the Brigand's getting cheaper is genuinely good.
Yeah.
Like if you can fit 13 dogs, that does just it gives you an option because it means you can fit 12 dogs and allies as well, where before it was 11 dogs and allies, right? Or similar.
Yeah, because you can do a Stalker, 6 Brigands, 5 Carnivores, and I think a Beast and 2 Nurgling units, or 2 Beasts, like 2 Solo Beasts and a Nurgling unit. I have to do the math again. Because Beasts are now 65? God, that's cheap.
I'm adding a caveat to that one. I refuse to acknowledge them as being good.
All right, Chaos Space Marines. Abaddon went down 15 points. He is now 280, so he remains cheaper than the Primarchs.
I do like Abaddon. I
don't like the fact that he went down. Cursed Cultist went up 15 points. The 5-mans notably did not, or the 8-mans notably did not change in cost. So if you're running the big brick, they're now 195 as opposed to 180 before. The Predator Annihilator went down 10 points. I guess they finally realized that the Destructor is better than the Annihilator, and rather than raising the price on the Destructor, they cut the cost on the Annihilator. Chaos Terminators followed the trend of Loyalist Space Marines, and their Terminator is now 180 for 5. Is that with Abaddon good now?
Look, Abaddon, we took it to WTC already. It was pretty fucking good.
Yeah. All right. The Dark Apostle went up 5 points, and the Dark Commune went up 15 points. So every big brick of ACDC went up 30 points total. which means that, if you were just running Renegades with AC/DC, just on that, you lost 90 points. And you can now only surge once per turn or phase.
Havoc's I think AC/DC got nut stomped. Liam VSL's LGT winning list went down like 30-40 points. Obliterators, very compelling at 160, especially in veterans.
Yes. All right, let's continue talking. So Havoc's went down 10. They're now 125. Maybe. Legionaries, untouched at the 5-man, but the 10-man squad went down 10 points for some reason. I don't think they needed that. The Disco Lord went down 15 points. It's now 175. Probably still bad. Obliterators went down 10 points, so they're now 160. That is actually quite appealing. Possessed went down 5 points for 5, so they're 120 now. Raptors went down in their 10-man squad size to 170, but stayed the same at 90 points for 5, which is... the Sorcerer and Terminator armor went down 10 points to 80. It's a fun little T5 2-up 4-up idiot that you can throw on your list. Vashtor is now 175 points. He went down another 15.
He can also do stuff with detachment now, right?
He also and now they updated all of the Warforged Pact Solo something detachment. The Vashtor detachment now explicitly states that it works with him, because every single one just added, or Vashtor the Arcaphane.
Fair enough. I like Soulforged. It's good fun.
Yeah. Maybe he's good in there. I don't know. Soulforged is fun, though. I do love the idea, though, that he's basically making a pact to himself.
Yeah. I mean, like, wouldn't you give yourself the best deals?
Oh, he can't invoke a contract to himself. Really? Never mind.
He can't invoke the contract still? That's heartbreaking.
Oh, okay. Lame. I thought they fixed that.
But he can use Feeding Frenzy, he can use the Predatory Pursuit, and he can walk through walls.
Cool.
That's pretty good stuff. Walk through walls is pretty good.
Walk through walls is pretty good with him.
I'm going to try that. That sounds like fun.
Okay, so I can't make the joke about him making a pact to himself anymore. Sad.
Abaddon plus Vashtor actually sounds kind of fun.
All right. Warp Talons went down 10 for the 5-man, so they're 125 now, but the 10-men stayed at 270. Could be interesting.
Probably for the best.
Yeah. Rubric Marines, spoiler, Rubric Marines in 5s went up 5 points, but in 10s they went down. So, and I'm just doing that because these are allies you often see.
For you. My heart fucking bleeds for you, CSM players.
Yeah. The best part is that the 10-man went down, so if you wanted to just shove 10 in a Rhino and Renegades, you can.
Yeah, it's better in Renegades than it is in CSM, probably. In Thousand Sons, probably.
Probably. All right. We were talking about Dark Angels. Let's talk about Death Guard.
What are we putting on CSM?
Oh, CSM, I would say neutral, yeah.
Yeah. Like, some builds got better, a lot of builds got worse. Overall, it's probably about the same.
Yeah, I think it opened up their play a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that they're probably going to still sit around B tier.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable.
All right. But I think that skilled players like Liam are still going to dummy people with them.
Yeah, 100%.
Liam just gained an extra unit.
Not quite, right? It's only like 60 points. It's not
I guess there isn't any. Is there anything 60 points in CSM?
It's like a cultist squad or a Nurgling unit or something, right? It's not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, a cultist squad's not horrible to gain.
It's not nothing, don't get me wrong, but it's not a lot.
What else could you add for 60 points in that book? That's about it.
That is really it. I think it was more likely Liam tweak some stuff, right?
Oh, you could add the
I could
Traitor
see that
Enforcer.
detachment. I could see the detachment wanting like a Warp Talon squad or something just to be faster.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I could see that over something, right? I don't think it would be crazy.
Yeah.
But I also just I think Abaddon guns is maybe just a thing again.
Abaddon guns good. Wasn't. I don't think it ever stopped being a thing.
Just play the Scark list: Renegade Raiders, 3 Vindicators, 3 Predators, Hellroot, and Abaddon.
Oh, please no.
Play on GW boards, you're just gonna get shot to death, my dude.
Oh, I know. Speaking of things that make me sick, Death Guard. The Biologist Putrefier went down 10 points. So he's now 50 points. He's the grenade idiot, right?
Yes, he's the grenade and lethals and crit 5s to his unit guy. He does so much for 50 points.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, by the way, he is the same data sheet as the Apothecary Biologist with Fire Discipline. Like, he just is, right? He's the same points as the enhancement now.
No, the enhancement's 40.
Great. He's slightly more expensive than the enhancement.
Oh, that hurts.
Right? I'm not wrong.
It's a good thing Plague Marines suck at shooting, right?
Terrible at it.
Death Terminators went down 10 for 3.
God, that terrain is... They're really starting to make terrain look really good this edition.
110 points for 3. And then Mortarion went down 25 points, and he's now 300.
He's still worse than Abaddon, which is my favorite part.
Yeah, and Abaddon's still 15 points cheaper than him. Or 20 points cheaper.
300 for a Primarch is fucked up. That data
the Loyalist Primarchs are cheaper than that.
Yeah, but they're not.
He's 300 for a demon Primarch. Let's be clear.
I want to ask the one question that burns my brain every time I see Mortarion's data sheet and I read it and I weep a little bit. Why doesn't he have Deep Strike?
Wait, what? No way. Mortarion. App. Abilities. What the fuck? He at least flies, right? Okay, he does fly.
I think Mortarion is genuinely great.
He does have grenades, that's cool.
He has grenades, yeah, it's true. Did you not catch that the entirety of Champs Cup? I think Mortarion's genuinely good. I think you should probably be playing him.
The Mortarion, like the Death Guard mech list with Mortarion leading it is...
And Brigands came down, and... Yeah.
Yeah, you gained like 40 points in that list.
Welcome to the Thunderdome, baby!
Yeah. Triple Predator Disruptor, triple Plague Burst.
Yeah, double bloat drone, right? Like, it seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, Death Guard are winners. There's no question about that.
Death Guard are winners. They made out pretty well for the days. I don't think they made out amazingly. I don't think we're going to suddenly see them storming the top, like every top table. But I think if you're playing Death Guard, you will be happy to continue to play Death Guard.
Yeah. Rob, did you not know Magnus had Deep Strike?
Yeah, Magnus and Angron both have Deep Strike.
Yeah, but Angron doesn't fly.
That doesn't.
Does Angron fly?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of the other idiot with broken wings, Scarbrand.
Scarbrand, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can, like, it is sometimes correct to rapid ingress Magnus. It is never correct to rapid ingress Mortarion. Just to go off the board edge.
Oh, that hurts.
It's so sad, dude. I had to do it against Double Wraith Knight once, and then I had to double check and be like, oh, wow, this guy just doesn't have Deep Strike. I really thought he'd have Deep Strike. And so I'm just, like, bringing him off the board edge super sheepishly. So.
Oh, yeah, Rob's correct. You're never starting Magnus off the table.
You should almost never start Magnus off the board. There have definitely been occasions in this edition where it was correct.
Yeah, such as going into Double Wraith Knight on a bad table, you kind of go, yeah, he's starting off the table, because if not, he's just...
I'd like to play the game today, Mr. Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Drukhari. Clearly still the best army in the game. Archons went up 10 points and they're at 85. The Beastmaster, with his lovely Beast Pack, went up 15 points to 120. The Court of the Archon went up 10 points to 95. Drazar went up 10 points to 85. Hellions went down 10 for 5. Incubi went up 10 for 5. Lilith went up 10 to 95. Mandrakes went up 5, but only in the small variant, to 70 points for 5. And Reavers went up 5 for 3 to 65.
Somehow, this army went up more than Guard.
Yes, it very much did. We can just put them as losers right now. But also, what the fuck?
I think, realistically, there are still builds in Drukhari. There are still things that are good. Talos didn't change. A bunch of the transports didn't change. Like, there's things you could do in Skyplaner. Scourges, notably, and Void Raven didn't change. There are still things you could do. But the oops, all melee build is just like...
Yeah, like the Sky Splinter, Boats and Hose, in just doesn't work as well.
It's just too expensive for everything else.
I mean, it's still going to be good, but the double Void Raven list remains getting terrifying to play into.
Yeah. I would not like to be the guy having to play this army anymore.
Agreed. Gene Stealer Cults. I'm mad about this.
I'm not going to lie. A little bit, me too. It's kind of crazy what happened to this army. So, everything...
All right, let's go through it real quick.
A little cheaper. Just everything. Just
a little, 5-man Aberrant Squad went down 15 points.
Points everywhere.
So 135 for 5 Aberrants now. The 10-man remains at 300. Both Flavor of Acolytes went down a point a model. The Icon Ward went down 10 points. Jackals went down 10 points for 5. Benefactus went down 10 points. He's now 70 for a las cannon in his head. The Jackal Alphas went down 5 points to 55. Neophyte Hybrids went down 5 points for 10. The Patriarch went down 10 points to 75. And the Primus went down 10 points to 80. Innes, as a GSC expert, where does this put Gene Stealer cults?
Exactly where they were, just better. Realistically, for most lists, this represents you get a unit. That's basically all it says.
Yeah. And
So
I mean,
none of these changes are like, hey, if you weren't running this, you're going to run it now. Some of the characters maybe shuffle about. The Icon Ward becomes a little bit more compelling for that 4-up Filipino Metamorphs, and he actually can join them and keep them having Scout at 50 points. Lets you move Blips, which is not a terrible mechanic right now because Blips are a little bit more manageable. But like, if you're playing Acolytes or Aberrants or any of the things that went down, you'll still run them. You'll be just as happy as you were. You're probably not going to put a third bike squad in Outlander Claw. Ridge Runners didn't change. None of the vehicles changed, right? So that's all staying kind of the same. You're just going to get a little bit more thing. You're going to pick. You're either going to have another Lone Operative. You're going to have another unit of Acolytes. You're going to have another unit of Neophytes. It just smooths a little bit more of the army out. It gives you another unit, another chance at rolling that 4-up to get a unit back. A little bit more primary denial. Secret missions going much harder is a really, really big buff for this army because it's insanely good at primary denial in the Outlander Claw version, and very good at doing them and wall scoring primary on the way through if you wanted to in the natural game plan. I think these are net huge buffs for Gene Circle. I think they make out like bandits, and I have them sitting up there with like Guard as one of the best armies in the game right now.
Probably, yeah. I'd agree.
I think
now, we'll see if their stats follow that, because
they will not. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to say that on the internet, and then a bunch of people are going to go and play Gene Circle for the first time and have no idea what they're doing. And honestly, guys, power to you. There's a whole bunch of content you can watch on the Innes Reports section of the YouTube channel. Please go give it a check. But stop my army getting nerfed in 3 months, please. It'd be great. I feel really good about Gene Circle right now. I'm very excited to see them going forwards, and I think these changes are very beneficial for the army. One thing they did that happen in the notes for the balanced data slate, they did say that in the next update, which is due sometime later this year, they will be adjusting Codex Space Marines, Cult Ambush, and Miracle Dice. And a Cult Ambush change can probably only be good for GSC. So GSC are going to be great. I am very excited. The biggest thing that is like diminishing them for me is how bad Aquilons are for GSC. That data sheet is murderous to us.
Move up for a charge or a flame, get ingressed on and lose your squad.
Yeah, it's a very real like diminishing factor for me of being like, I don't know if I deal with Aquilons very well, which has me being like, well, I probably need to look at including a Clamavus. So a lot of the consideration here is like points drops is add Clamavus, right? That feels kind of like a reasonable place to go. You just add the 12-inch Deep Strike guy. It doesn't give you everywhere, but it lets you keep one objective on lock, and maybe that's enough. But I would be shocked to not see Gene Star cults at least rise to like something like a 38% win rate instead of a 35.
No, they were like a.
I know they're saying somewhere in the 50s. I could see them hitting the
50s
50s with this, because I think the average player will be able to win games just a little bit easier with them now, and a lot of their predators are coming down.
Yes, I agree. Grey Knights. We are looking at 3-point changes in them. The Brotherhood Terminator Squad, if you take them in a 5-strong unit, came down 10 points. So it's now 200 points for 5 Terminators. The Paladin Squad, similarly, came down 10 points. So 5 Paladins is 215 points. And lastly, Purgation Squad, 5 of them came down 10 points.
I think they're fine. I think Grey Knights make out very poorly from the secret mission changes as one of the best armies in the game at scoring secret missions. But the data sheet buffs are just good. The MSU Grey Knight build, it's not quite the 30 Terminators list, but we've definitely seen some versions that are kind of more mid-rangey, kind of 3 Terminator squads, 3 Librarians, maybe Drago, and then like 3 Dread Knights, like the French build from WTC, I think was that Johan played. That's the kind of thing that I'd be looking at as being like, that's pretty reasonable. You could play that, be pretty happy with it, no complaints. And maybe that's a more nuanced and interesting build than 30 Terminators or 6 Dread Knights, and this feels like it's kind of pushing you in that direction, which is a good thing. But secret mission changes are bad, but I think the net balance is like buffs good for Grey Knights. They'll continue to do the same thing. Notably, I will say Subductors going up 15 points is not great for this army because they did like that data sheet, and now it's very hard to justify them compared to Strike Marines at 120. It's like Strike Marines at 120 or Subductors at 100. It's like we'd probably just take Strike Marines and have more flexibility.
Yeah, Strike Marines have Sticky and Scout and just
add a 12 armor save, right? Like there's a lot of compelling reasons.
Yep. Alrighty then. That's Grey Knights for us. Imperial agents. We already talked about them. The subductor went up 15 points as allies, but it means that they're unchanged as.
So I'm going to do what I'm going to do. We're
just mark this unchanged.
No. It's even better.
No.
I have a brilliant idea. I have this, and then I have this, and I copy it, and then I change it to red, and then as allies they got nerfed.
Ah, fair. All right. That is reasonable.
All right. What do we say for demons as allies? I think they just didn't change, right?
The Beast of Durgal got 5 points cheaper.
Okay, so as
unchanged.
Allies, you can kind of read that. Close enough. And then unchanged for demons. Buffed. Beast of Durgal went down. Beast of Durgal went down, and that's a good data sheet.
Sure.
It does not have to be a big buff. Now, I like big buff. Big
Actually,
buffs,
you can take.
I'll lie, but
No, you can't take Shalaxian Demonettes still.
No, it's still too expensive. I like big buffs and I cannot lie, but demons did not get them. And Imperial Knights, we did Imperial Knights, right? They didn't change his allies.
We're doing Imperial Knights right now.
Oh, we're doing Imperial Knights. Well, I thought we were doing this in alphabetical order.
We are in alphabetical order. It's Imperial Agents and Imperial Knights.
I don't know how the alphabet works.
K comes after A, thankfully. Short and sweet. Bunch of changes to the big knights. The 2 Armigers didn't change, neither did the Moiraxes. Canis Rex went up 15 points to 450. The Knight Castellan went down 15 points to 510. The Knight Errant went down 15 points to 390. The Knight Gallant went down 20 to 380. And the Knight Valiant went down 20 to be 510. So notably, both of the 2-up save T13 chassis are now 510 points.
I don't hate the Castellan.
At 510, I kind of like it.
I think if it was 500, I would consider it because it'd be really cool coming off of reserve.
Well, no, you just give it the deep
I meant as an ally.
Oh yeah,
I'm not playing pure Imperial Knights. What do I look like?
I mean, I would say net buff, but also none of the bigs were being played much outside of Canis.
Yeah, so I think on average it's
neutral,
but as allies they definitely got worse because Canis Rex was the only one you were really seeing as an ally, and he definitely got worse. I think you're mostly just doing the same thing. You definitely consider like jamming in maybe like one of the big knight. Like I could see you playing like the Mysterious Guardian Castellan instead of the Crusader now, or the Errant. The Errant at sub 400 is actually kind of compelling. Actually, yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that data sheet. If you wanted to do like Canis double Errant, and you would still get a decent amount of other army in with that now, because that's like what 1,300 points, not even sub 1,250.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's 1,230 for 3 big knights, and then you still get like 3 or 4 Armigers and a bunch of other stuff. Like I could see that, or you do like Errant, Canis, Crusader, Errant, Canis, and Castellan, and then like allies, you stick in like a Collex Assassin, a Callous Assassin, and like 2 Voidsman arm squads, or like whatever the cheapest one is. Hitchman, I think. Maybe
I think you could still fit at least 1 Armiger in there as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Just a Hellrun to sit on your home and be annoying.
Yeah, I could see it.
All right. So neutral but worse for allies. Leagues of Votann. 2 changes here. Hearthguard in the 5-strong squad went down 10 points to 150, while the 10-strong squad stayed at 320. And then Jaegers went up 10 points to be 90. Good. I would say net neutral.
Yeah, I think they broadly no change for Votann. They didn't really need them. I think Votann were fine.
No, they were sitting in we talked about it a little bit last week when we were talking about Champs Cup, or 2 weeks ago. I can't remember now. But like,
Votann play a game with every army in the game, and they're just playing good Warhammer with them.
Yeah, they're just playing good Warhammer. Like some of their data sheets are a little strong, some of their data sheets are kind of crap, but they only have like 13 data sheets. So
yeah, agreed. I think the like the triple Landfort build with like 2x5 Terminators inside them, it gets a little bit more interesting. But you were still probably playing a Gear squad in that.
What are you doing with 10 points, which is an enhancement, maybe?
Exactly, right. Maybe you can fit in Grim Demeanor now, where you could only fit in where you couldn't fit it before, right? Things like that.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, yeah, fair enough. You're not going to complain about it, but you're not like, I am playing Votann because I can fit Grim Demeanor in now, right? That's not really the direction we're looking
at. Playing Votann because you were playing Votann before.
Exactly. I am noticing a really nice trend here, though, where almost everything in the bottom half is getting a buff, except the armies that are toxic are not armies. Everything in the top half, except one, is either like staying the same or getting nerfed.
I'm seeing the same thing, and I'm actually really liking this.
This one stupid thing at the top left, it's really bugging me. that I can't quite put my finger on why I want to choke every Ogryn to death.
All right, let's talk about one of the top armies, Necrons.
Hey, please let it be a down.
The Annihilation Barge went down 10 points to 105. Catacomb Command Barge went down 10 points to 120. Death Marks went up 5 to 65 for 5. The Good. Doomsday Arc went down 10 to 190.
Baffle blows my mind that issue they were like, no, that's too expensive. We can't let that thing be expensive. Why would shooting not cost many points?
It has to stay still to get its rule. That's why.
It's AP4. Who cares? I don't know if anybody watched my Rebellion, but I kept niggling my brain. I'm like, it's AP3, right? It's AP3. And I had to go get my phone off of charge and double check it because he kept saying it was AP4. And I was like, I accept this, but I need to go and look. And I hate it.
AP4 so flat 4 damage. Let's go, boys.
I hate it. I hate everything about it.
Also known as, I really hope you didn't like Deathwing Knights if you're sitting next to the king. All right. Then Locust Destroyers, so the small boys, went up 5 points for a solo one.
Good. Again,
if you're taking the bigger squads unchanged.
The cheapest scoring units in the game was very stupid when they have
so it's now 35 points. The Locust Heavy Destroyers went up 5 points per model regardless of the unit size, because that unit is just good shooting.
Yes, they're very strong.
The Monolith went up another 25 points and is now 400 points.
Still too cheap.
Yep. The Obelisk went down 25 points. We were joking about this last night, and I saw this and I went, does that make it good? Probably not, but you're going to see at least one on the table every now and then.
You can make it 250 and it'd still be unplayable, but
probably. The Royal Warden went down 15 points and is now 40 points. So, we went from having a cheap scoring unit to a cheap scoring unit.
I already see that guy in a decent amount of lists.
Yep.
Like, he's good. Like, the on-battle shock is very relevant. Like, good 100%. Data sheet.
The Tesseract Vault went up 25 points. So if you were one of those people, say, from Toronto, running 2 Monoliths and a Tesseract Vault, your list just went up 75 points. Have fun. Triarch Praetorians went down 20 points for 5. And
I like Triarch Praetorians. They seem kind of interesting. 100 for 100 per 5.
Yeah, could be interesting. They natively fall back in charge, right?
Yes.
And they move like 12 inches and fly. It seems pretty decent. The Triarch Stalker went down 15 points to 110. He might be worth looking at that point. One of the other things to note, Paint Celestine pointed it out,
the
Silent King
in Team France's winning WTC list. Like, what are we doing? It's just a good data sheet.
Yep. The Silent King gained the Triarch keyword, which means that he now has Play an Obeisance Phalanx, or however you say that.
Play Obeisance, I think.
He can have -1 damage.
Great.
It's kind of cool. I don't know. Like,
basically, he is not. How can he be like? He is the Triarch. How can he be like being like part of the Triarch's phalanx? It's not. That's not how that works. He shouldn't get it.
Leader of the phalanx.
No, he shouldn't get it. I think it's stupid. Also, they did change it so it's Lord Noble keyword, not Overlord keyword for some of the rules in that detachment as well. So they work on some other things now.
Make it a little more consistent.
Yeah,
I think it's. Where do we think they land?
I think Necrons basically stay the same.
Yeah.
Overall, a couple things.
Like the double Monolith build with like a bunch of cheap scoring got hit pretty hard. But
yeah, but it didn't get hit that hard. It's like 60 points. It cuts like 2 scoring units and it's still just the same thing.
Yeah. Probably the really funny one though is that if you were running Silent King double Monolith double Doomsday Arc like Kit Smith-Hanna was, you lost a destroyer.
Yeah, it's not much.
Because you gained 20 from the Doomsdays and lost 50. So yeah, you lost 30 points, which is exactly a destroyer.
You also lose like 5 points on a bunch of little things like the Hex Mark, like the Death Mark, stuff like that on the way through. So it ends up probably being like.
So maybe end up losing enough scoring that it's not as viable. But that list shoots hard.
It shoots real hard. I think that list is just still great. Hyperthick has been rocking the UK for ages, and I don't think that will change. I think you can play that. I think there's still mileage in an Awakened Dynasty build. Triarch Praetorians look kind of interesting. The Triarch Stalker is a good data sheet for applying turn 1 pressure because it has a scout. It's also a really weird spindly model, which is really good with Hypercrypt because you can like 3-inch deep strike into awkward nooks and crannies with its toll. Crawl like I am touching your objective. I am entering your safe space.
You zoned out a 32 mil base, but not my foot.
But not my foot. Yeah. It's literally, how do you get your foot in the door on scoring as Hypercrypt? Now that you have to do your secret mission early, literally get your foot in the door.
All right. Shall we talk about the Wall Boys?
Let's talk about the War Boys. We're done. Thank you. Congratulations. Let's move on.
Beast Snagger Boys went down 10 points. They are now 95. The Big Mech went down 10 points and is now 70. The Big Mech and Mega Armor went down 10 points and is now 90. The Big Mech with Shock Attack Gun went down 10 points and is now 65. Boys went down 5 points and are now 80 for 10. The Def Dread went down 10 points, is now 120. Def Coptas went down 10 points and are now 90 for 3. The Corkonaut went down 15 points to 265. The Hunter Rig went down 15 points, is now 135. The Kill Rig went down 15 points and is now 155.
That thing doesn't have an invulnerable save. I'm not even upset about that one.
That's a 6-up invuln.
No, it doesn't. No, feel no pain now.
I thought all their vehicles had a 6-up invuln. Oh, wait, no. The Beast Snagger ones don't. But like trucks and battle wagons do.
Battle wagons do not. No, battle wagons have armor contempt.
Oh. So just trucks have the 6-up invuln base?
Trucks have Ramshackle. It's a 6-up invulnerable save, yeah.
Oh, okay. Weird.
That's what Ramshackle became, basically.
Yeah, Ramshackle was the weird roll dice for... Anyways. Yeah. Commandos went down 15 points to 120 for 10. Meganoms went down 5 points each. They're now 70 points for 2. The Morkonaut went down 15 points. Is now 280. What else we got? Tank Busters went down 20 points. They're now 90 points. And that's Orcs. Hello, Dread Mob?
Hello, exactly the same... I should just for I mean, Brian's LGT. Brian's LGT. I'm trying not to. I'm very
just copy one of the existing ones.
I have stupid hands. This is why I don't play video games anymore.
Yeah, Orcs are definitely winners here.
Orcs are winners. I think overall, play Brian's list from LGT. Do the same thing, or try experimenting with some Dread Mob things and stuff like that. You'll be pretty happy with it. Orcs made out pretty well, and I think they needed it. I think I would kind of describe this as points band-aid, fixing the fact that the war needs to be command phase, not battle round. Which is problematic for other reasons, but it's fine.
I'll also add one of the other things that they did is that the Orc got a huge set of erratas and FAQs that basically mean that all of their rules now work while embarked, something that we should have seen months ago, but it's very nice to finally see it. So it means no more of you call the war on your war bosses in the transport. You don't get your special rule on the war boss.
So war bosses now slam a lot harder.
Yeah, as they always should have.
Probably should have, yeah.
So that's a nice change. Kudos to GW for reversing that, because in I think the last round of FAQs in June, they said, no, it doesn't work.
Other way. Yeah. I think it's a good change. Overall, I think it's more
playable. Can we change that, please? All right, Tau. Farsight went down 10 points. He's now 95 points. Kroot Carnivores for 10 went down 10, so they're now 65. The Kroot Flesh Shaper, what does he do again? I don't really care. He's went down
3-strat one, I think.
Yeah, he went down 10, is now 45 points. The Kroot Trail Shaper went down 10 points, is now 55. The Kroot War Shaper
hits one,
went down 10 and is now 50 points. And then Krutox Rampagers went down 15 points for 3 and are now 95.
Rampage, is that her, or did 6 mans go down as well?
Let me check real quick. Boop, 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 boop. That's Thousand Suns. Tau. Krutox. They both went down.
Okay. I think that's kind of interesting. I don't know if it's enough to help the Kroot detachment. It really suffers from the once per gamification of the res strat and things like that, and the redeploy moving to before the turn roll. But maybe it's more interesting. I'm sure Kyle Grundy will be playing it. If you want to play that at LVO for me, buddy, it'd be really appreciated for making sure I can win the season.
All right, Krutox Riders are one of the few units that we're seeing that actually got decreases in the large squads and increases in the small squads. So if you're running a solo Krutox Rider, it went up 5 points. But if you're running 2 or 3 models, they went down 5 points per model.
That happens for rubrics as well when we get to it as well, right? There were a few units like that.
That's why I said one of the few.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta put that in the sheet actually, because people are gonna notice that I didn't do it. Damn.
Yeah. So overall, I think Riptide's going up 10 is the only real material in there. I think Tau probably make out pretty well from this. Yeah, I think Tau are probably on point.
And then
one of the better
Piranhas went up 5 points per model, and Riptides went up 10 points.
Yep. I think overall, small win for Tau. I think Farsight going up before going down is great. The plus 10 points per Riptide is not enough. Those data sheets are stupid and should be like 200. They should be more expensive than Redemptors.
I would say Tau are net neutral.
But yeah, I would agree.
All right, let's talk about the boys that are
Tau
sitting
so
up in the
much.
top left, and where we keep pointing of
We're
can this.
going to save Thousand Suns for last because it's the same as we did in the review.
All right, let's talk Tyranids.
I can make you bounce back one, I think.
Bouncing back one is fine.
Okay.
We saved Thousand Suns for last time. So, Tyranids. Carnifexes went down 10 points a model.
Cool, they still suck without old One Eye, who went up
10 points.
So, the Carnifex unit goes down 10 points.
So that package goes down 10 points. Cool. Lictors went up 5.
One Eye in Crusher gets worse. Fine.
Yes. The Lictor went up 5 points. Justified.
Heartbreaking, but justified.
Pyrovores, if you're running one of them, went up 5 points. Otherwise, they're the same cost. So Assimilation Swarm stands can continue doing what they want, and if you want,
that data sheet is still more expensive than a Locust Destroyer. Right? Like, tell me that I'm insane for saying that.
You're not. It's very funny.
Like, if the Pyrovore is going to be 40, the Locust Destroyer should be at least 45.
Probably.
For the solo. The Pyrovore
has a better gun?
It doesn't teleport, it's slower. Its gun is not better because it's 12-inch range.
Yeah, but it's twin-linked.
It's a flamer, dude, compared to a full hit rerolls damage 2 gun with lethal hits, right? The roughly equivalent guns, but the Destroyer flies is on a smaller base, which is better for getting onto ruins.
Yeah.
Is more durable.
But the Destroyer doesn't strip cover.
Great, dude. I like Power Force, but being more expensive than a Locust Destroyer upsets me.
No, that's fair. The Von Innes Leapers went down 5 points for 3.
I will still
70 points for 3.
I will still not paint any of mine. I refuse until they're 5 points a model. I will not touch them.
5 points
in protest.
And then the Winged Hive Tyrant went down 10 points,
which is commensurate with the nerf that it received in Vanguard because that's the only place it was being played. Specifically, for anybody who doesn't know, the Vanguard stratagem that let you shit out battle shocks now requires you to actually be targeting the unit with an attack to make them take a battle shock test. So you can't just go, spooky from the corner of the board anymore.
No, is it Tyler's saying it's boo?
Yeah, you're just shouting real loud from the corner of the board with your infinite range, untargeted free stratagem.
Yeah, so good change there. I would say net neutral for Tyranids overall.
Yeah, net neutral. I don't think Tyranids needed much, so I'm kind of happy with net neutral.
They're a perfectly fair army right now.
Am I allowed to be upset that the Norn didn't change? I would have liked the Norn buff.
Yeah, I mean, the Norn could have come down. The Norn is probably too expensive.
The Assimilator specifically. I don't care about the Emissary. Fuck the Emissary.
Yeah, the Assimilator is too expensive. All right. Let's talk World Leaders, and Anthony's going to be mad at this. Angron went up 20 points. He's now 435. World Leader Spawn went up 5 points for 2. The Demon Prince with Wings went down 25 points to 170. And the World Leader's Master of Executions went up 10 points. So if I did the math right, Anthony's list, you drop the Spawn, and the list goes back to being 1970.
Brilliant. Anthony will love it. Everybody else will be upset. I think the funniest thing here is that the Demon Prince that doesn't see play is the one that got buffed. Because the other one, at least he's playing like the Jackal Horde list for the invulnerable save, and like I don't get it.
Paint Celestia, unless your name's Josie, World Leaders got hit.
Yeah, that's true. And I think even for Josie, it's like it still loses something, right? Like you still have to cut points.
It loses 20 points on Angron.
You still have to cut something, right? It's not nothing. It's not a lot, but it's still a change.
Was she running the Demon Prince with the helm?
Yeah, I think so. Helmet Brace and Ire for the 5 immortal save when you go to ground to 4 up.
No, that's not what the helm gives you.
No, I know, but for that's the Demon Prince you put
the helm. But I think that she could probably cut the helm and then the list.
Yeah, probably. Or if she didn't have it, then just cut it in total. Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. It's annoying. World Leaders continue to ping pong. I don't think they needed nerfs, but Secret Mission, again, it's one of those things where like Secret Missions getting worse is better for World Eaters ostensibly because they're a pressure army. So in general, they are on the receiving end more than the giving end. In theory, I don't know how true that actually is, but
yeah, I think they might decline slightly, but they were a perfectly fair army before, and I think they'll remain a perfectly fair army.
Stay up where they are. Yeah, I think they continue to be. If you're really good at World Eaters, you'll still win games. If you're not great at World Eaters, you'll still lose games.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Let's talk about the last one, the boogeyman of the edition so far. I think at this point
they remain the boogeyman after this, but we'll talk through this.
Thousand Suns have been the best army in the game for longer than Eldar have.
I think longer now.
And Thousand Suns have been the second best army the entire edition when they've not been the best army.
No, that was GSC for a little while.
I would argue that it was not GSC and that they were actually
but the stats don't agree with you.
Sure, but
all right, let's walk it through this. Armin on disc, Exalted Sorcerer on disc, all went up 10 points. The Infernal Master went up 15 points. Magnus went up 25 points. Rubric Marines, if you're running 5 of them, went up 5 points, but if you're running 10 of them, they went down 10 points. So they're 22 points a model if you're running a 5-man, and they're 20 points a model if you're running a 10-man, which is interesting, but sure. The Thousand Suns Forge Fiend went up 10 points. Thanks, Brian.
That's your fault too. You played that as well.
Yeah, Brian introduced it to me. I was perfectly happy playing normal T-Suns until he introduced it to me. The Thousand Suns Sorcerers, the Foot Idiot, went up 10 points, and then Zangor Enlightened went up 5 points to 50 points for 3.
I think squarely, these are nerfs. Yeah. Are they enough?
Probably not.
It's 100 points on most lists.
Yeah.
You cut a unit, you cut a Vortex Beast. It's still the same army. It still does the same damage. It still has the same bullshit, but there is less of it now. However, a bunch of the other stuff in their neighborhood is also getting nerfed. Is it enough?
So
I don't think so, personally.
And yeah, I think they'll stay A tier. Rob is pointing that out in chat. I think they stay A tier. They could even still remain S tier, depending on who
Thousand Suns will have a losing matchup to Guard and to GSC at the top level, and that will be enough to hold them down, and it remains to be seen where the remainder lies. Yeah. But I think Guard and GSC are both good at playing into Thousand Suns, and with the changes are now comfortably winning that matchup most of the time.
What were the bad matchups for Thousand Suns before?
GSC, but like super underplayed, Dark Angels, Sisters with Exorcists, but not without, and Space Wolves could be sketchy.
Yeah, Space Wolves could be sketchy, but you could dig yourself out.
And like Guard was playable, but not fun. It mostly came down to your Doom Bolts. Like how good they were,
100%.
And there was a lot of
every single time I played Guard as my T-Suns, I went, "Oh, please do damage."
Yeah, so I think T-Suns will have now losing matchups more than they ever have ever had this edition. But I think they will still be good in the hands of players like Liam and Sako and all those kinds of like Giga Brain Thousand Suns players. They still do the same damage. It's just going to be
Liam's still going to sacrifice Magnus turn 2.
And you're going to have less scoring to make sure that it's smoothed over when you do make mistakes, which is going to cascade into bigger losses, which I think will probably put Thousand Suns, make them harder to play. They're kind of probably going to fall into like that GSC tier where only the people who are really good at them get results out of them. Oh, Grey Knights is also a miserable matchup with 30 Terminators with Psychic Protection. Like, yeah, it's tough. I think Thousand Suns call a deserved nerf here. I think it's like the 5th in a row for them, which is hilarious to me. But yeah, they are definitely a weaker army now. And there's only like one compensation buff this time, right? The 10-man Rubik squad.
Yeah. Which, because of the point hikes everywhere else, I don't think you see that unit. You rarely saw that unit before.
Exactly. Right. I want to do something else now before we wrap up. I'm going to copy over my Balanced Dataslate bingo, and we're going to see if we got bingo.
Oh, no.
So for anybody who doesn't know, right before we're expecting the Balanced Dataslate, I always try to do my predictions in the form of a bingo card, which we're now going to, as a group, we're going to fill out, and we're going to see if I
always hurts because you're always so close.
I generally try to go with between a mix of like funny and like prescient, and also just like making fun of things that happened last time.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's start in the top left corner.
All right, start at the top left. Okay, right. I need to get a thing to put on. Yeah.
Cross would probably be the
cross. Jesus.
Ah.
Oh my god, my hands are too stupid for this again. I'm so sorry.
Actually, can you get a bingo marker?
No, not really.
Oh, you got the BOING there. You can actually do bingo.
I'm not because they're all premium. We're not paying for Canva. All right. So unit nerf because I did well with it once. I think that's basically a free space. I think we can go with that one.
Let's name a couple examples.
Go for it. All of those. These have to be units that were like fairly underplayed but got nerfed. I would say all of the Drakari book feels like that to me.
Yeah, the entire Drakari book for sure. Once though, that's the
triple vortex beasts.
Yeah, I mean, they did go up 10 points, but like,
It kind of feels like Wolf Jail is this as well.
Forge Fiends.
Primaris Crusaders as well.
Yeah, actually, I'd agree with that. They got hosed in that update. Yeah. So All right. New Space Marine subfaction on top.
Well, if we're on top right now, and we think that, like, I think there's a world where I could argue that maybe, like, Ultramarines end up on top after this.
That's not a subfaction, though.
Like Templars. I mean, it is, right?
No, it's not. We mean, like, I guess you defined this. You can say what it is.
Yeah.
When you say subfaction, I think of, like, non-codex.
No. Like, if the best Space Marine build changes from being Space Wolves or Dark Angels, I think that is a reasonably likely thing to happen.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm going to give that one a stamp. I think I'm okay with saying that one was a success.
Right. Tiger Shark dies? Nope.
Sadly not. That was more of a, like, please than a prediction.
Oh, yeah. I was very much in the same spot. Hypercrypt gets no net changes. No.
I'm okay with that. I'm happy saying that probably. No one should have to observe me using a computer.
It's so much fun to watch.
I'm happy to say that. I think that net said that they didn't change, and that I'm happy saying that is
you're probably right. Like we were talking about with the... All right. Ironstorm stays winning net buffs? Yes.
Absolutely.
Almost every single vehicle you want to put in Ironstorm went down.
All right. New thing will spam 3 times in every list because of a 5-point change. What am I thinking about that? I'm thinking, like, Ballistic Dreadnoughts, Invader ATVs, Warp Talons in CSM, potentially Scout Sentinels in Guard. I could see that being.
I think you'd start with 3x1 in every unit, in every army now.
Every data sheet in GSC went down 5 points. Boys in Orks, right? I think there's a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't really
you can easily fill that out.
We'll just spam pretty comfortably. T-Sun's buffed. I am okay with saying that did not happen.
Correct. Unit everywhere gets buffed.
I would say GSC feels fairly close to that, but maybe not.
Acolytes got buffed.
Quite enough to me. Grey Knight Terminators.
Yeah.
Anything else that, like, really stands out as getting buffed?
Let me look real quick.
Doomsday Arcs.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm happy with that because of Doomsday Arcs. Okay, unit gets nerfed because of its dual kit counterpart. It's a tougher one. So, like, a few things in Drakari got nerfed that wasn't really that.
But they don't have, like, many dual kits in that army.
Yeah, nothing in Sisters really. AdMech maybe, like the Sterilizers and the Skystalkers got nerfed, but only really the Sterilizers are good.
No, you're seeing both. Yeah. The Skystalkers were a cheap scoring unit.
That
you could uppy downy and.
I'm just trying to justify this one. Is there anything in CSM that got nerfed? No, things got buffed because of the dual kit, but no.
Yeah.
Primaris Crusaders maybe, but no, nothing in Blood Angels. I think Blood Angels the Foot Death Company.
Yeah.
the Foot Death Company with bolters. I'm happy to say.
But aren't those separate kits?
No, it's all just the same upgrade sprue, right?
I guess it's the same upgrade sprue, but it's a different base kit. But yeah, you're fair.
Yeah, I'm going with Kill Army with points because of mechanical issues. Is Thousand Suns and also a little bit Necrons. There's, like, the monolith is not a 400-point data sheet outside of Hypercrypt.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's a Hypercrypt issue.
50% win rate army nerfed. World Leaders.
New model goes under
$1.
Regional equivalent.
New one?
Acolytes?
Yeah, probably. Because Acolytes are 65 points? No,
yeah,
they're not.
They're £25 to be fair,
yeah,
or
so
like
no
£30.
How much is a
Invader ATVs are? This should really be dollars because it works better in that. But Invader ATVs, I think, are probably close.
US dollars and Invader Well, it's £41, so yeah, it's definitely more than 60 US.
Invader ATV is £31.
Why is it showing up? Oh, it's 41 euros. Never mind. I can't read.
Aquilons are a split box kit, right? So they're like
no,
£50.
They're just one box.
No, because they're in the Hivestorm box right now, right? You can't get them separately.
Oh yeah, but they're gonna be like $60 or $70.
Yeah, they're gonna be more. So it needs to be under. So it's usually like these are really cheap infantry units tend to be that are like expensive that are like fairly expensive points wise. So it's kind of like what actually got changed in that kind of region. Beast of Nurgle?
I don't think so. I don't think they're that cheap.
Expensive.
I think they're like 60 US. They're very close though.
Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna hit this one. I think
No,
this kind of requires actually maybe AdMech. Any of their units really cheap?
I
think the Scatros probably hits it.
The Scatros definitely hits it because he might be bang on, but he is a new character, so probably. Scatros he's 40 US, so he's very close.
I'm gonna go with no, but I will take this one if someone could come up with an example. It should be dollars, not pounds, because it never really works in pounds.
Corsairs are pretty close as well.
Oh, Corsair Voice Guard, yeah, they're 60 points for 5.
And they are. Why am I getting prices in yen?
They're 34 pounds, so I would imagine. Oh no, that's on.
No, I don't want to sign into my Warhammer. God, this new website sucks. US English.
Okay, they're 65 for 10. I'm gonna call that. I'm gonna call it. Is it okay?
Well, they're 65 US and they're 65 points.
Sweet, I'm taking that.
Actually, they might be. Are they 60 points now? Eldari.
I'm taking that.
They are 60 points for 10, so that one.
I'm taking it. Meganobs.
You got that one.
Did Meganobs change?
Yes, they went down 5 points each.
Oh. All right, Riptides and Bogren both go up. No change in play rate. I'm taking that one as well, so I have to go.
I think Bogrens will go down in play rate, but not by a huge amount.
I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna change this one to like maybe
like a half point.
Yeah, I got a half point for that one. Remains to be seen.
Yeah, Lion doesn't change. Nope. Redemptor changes points.
Nope. Minus
5 points on a unit that costs 50 points too much. The Lion.
The pick one.
Yeah.
Obelisk.
Yeah, he went down 25, so that's not a 5-point decrease.
No emissary buffs. No army that's not been good in 2 months. Nerfed. World Eaters.
They're solid. They're not like.
That's fine. I think I'm fine with that. I think I'm fine with taking the L on that one.
Unit that you've never seen gets nerfed.
Hellions?
Yeah, or Reavers. Hellions got buffed.
Oh, sorry, Reavers. Yeah, I don't think I've seen a Reaver this edition.
I've seen them a handful of times. They're a cheap source of a heat lance.
Yeah, I've seen them in Yunari. I've never seen them in Tark Eldar. Newly discovered.
Actually, no. You know what else? Fucking Drazar.
Yes. Newly discovered top army buff. I am taking because GSC. I think I kind of knew that one was going to happen.
Calidus and Vindicar swap points. Nope. Compensation buffs.
Yes, the Rubric squad went down at 10 mans. That counts.
Oh, right. Sorry. Dan Stilgard just pointed out that Corsairs are 60 for 5.
Yeah, that's fine, but you can't buy a box of 5.
Ah, true. So I guess Scouts would qualify as well?
Probably. Calidus and Vindicator swap points. That's definitely a no. Compensation buffs, yeah. I'm taking the Rubrics going down at 10s as a compensation buff. It is technically a compensation buff. It's not a big one, but it is one. And then CSM
Necrons kind of got compensation buffs as well.
CSM net nerfed, we have them at neutral, so I can't get that one. So I'm going to call that a pretty decent hit rate for pulling some stuff out my ass.
Most notably, you did not get a bingo.
I did not get a bingo yet.
TBD on how many Bolgren show up in most lists.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like that they're still the same number, but if there are still Bolgren in most lists, I will claim bingo on that. All right. That is our balanced Dataslate review. No bingo yet. What's your closing thoughts, Jeremy?
Feels pretty good. I'm very sad because I have a section under my MFM impact that is Death Watch. And I realized I should remove that. But they're coming back, so I'll just leave them.
Well, I am most upset about Guard not getting buffed, or Guard getting buffed. I think I'm wavering between that being a buff and a neutral, but I think buff is better for the thumbnail. So
yeah,
there were a few armies that got bad changes, like Demons and Custodes. I think it could have done with more.
Yeah,
and Knights maybe as well, but I don't think Knights is that big a deal.
Knights is always a tough one.
But everything else in the bottom feels like it got buffed. Most of the other stuff in the top feels like it got hit. Maybe not as hard as I would have liked to see it, but it definitely got hit. And I think that's a good sign.
It overall looks like a good update, especially given that this was largely just points.
Yeah, I would agree. I think overall, I could play. It's pretty good. I'm looking forward to playing it. The secret mission changes have filled me with new vigor. One day, I am now 14 in a row for going first into Hypercrypt, so maybe I'll stop being upset about that fact. I'm tracking this. I will continue to let everybody know how bad it is.
I need to go look at that as well. That seems very silly.
I would say one of the best data slates they've ever done.
Yeah.
The last time I said that, I said one of the best data slates they've ever done. C+.
Let's give this a solid B-. I'll
give this a solid B. See me after class. Why did you just have "don't know" scribbled in the margins next to demons?
Poor demons. At some point they'll get love,
I
right?
Somebody in the design studio really likes Doomsday arcs.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Yeah. I think it will be very interesting to come back in a month's time and maybe review this and be like, okay, how correct were we based on the stats? So if you want to see that, get back to us. We'll be more happy to do this. This has been some bonus content out of StatCheck. If you've enjoyed the show and you'd like to see more of us, you can check us live at 6 p.m. Eastern Time or 11 p.m. UK time every Tuesday on youtube.com/StatCheck. If you'd like to support the show, you can check out patreon.com/StatCheck or check out the user memberships option in the description box below. Please don't feel the need to do both of those. If you'd like to hear more from myself or any of the other coaches of StatCheck, check out stat-check.com/coaching. Check out all of our wonderful sponsors in the description. And we'll be back soon to talk more about 40k. I'm probably not going to do all of the extra stuff I was going to record this week because I've become swamped all of a sudden. So that'll be now a thing I do after I'm back from Pyro. But yeah, there's a bunch more content if you want to see it. There's also a bunch of other Dataslate reviews. There's Goonhammer articles that go through everything. Art of War have done stuff. I'm sure every other content producer on the planet is doing stuff today because why wouldn't you? There's been 200 people watching us. That's very clearly good for numbers. So I hope everybody's had a good time. If you have any feedback, you want to leave it in the comments, drop us a message. We're always happy to hear it. Make sure you specifically message Nathan. We hope you all have a lovely evening. I'm going to go and very quickly finish painting my army for this weekend. And we shall catch you next time.
Ciao.
Way, thank you for that, Jeremy.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Appreciate you.